All right, I'm Jumbo. Welcome, everyone. This is Michael. I'm the iBUG guy, and we're going to be talking a little bit about my recent adventures in Tanzania, as they pronounce it over there. And I'll give another, it's Habari ya Mchana. Let me try that again. Habari ya Mchana. Good afternoon. I think it's afternoon for most people that's on. So glad to have everybody here with us. We are going to be talking about, hopefully we'll get through it all. I'm not sure. We may have to arrange a second one, but the complete, or at least my complete Tanzania adventure covered the Mount Kilimanjaro climb, safari adventure after that, and then another 6 days on the island of Zanzibar off the east coast there of Tanzania. So we'll see how far we get anyway. All right. What I'd like to do right now is just, I guess we need to unmute everybody again, and we're going to go around the line quickly. Just say your name and where you're zooming in from.
Mary Alice from Pennsylvania.
Welcome.
Pete from Florida.
Hey there.
Louise, Georgia.
Welcome.
Heather, Montreal.
Welcome.
Heather, Montreal, Canada.
Gotcha.
And Ohio.
Hey, Pat.
Hey.
Robert, College Station.
Welcome.
John in Austin.
Vanessa, Georgia.
Welcome.
Terry from Arlington Heights, Illinois.
Welcome, Terry.
Ed from Georgetown, Ontario.
Montreal, Canada.
All right, Canadians. And hey, Jules.
Janice from Crystal Beach.
Alexa, stop.
Welcome.
Alicia from Illinois.
Welcome.
Alexa, set the timer for 10 minutes.
All right, somebody's talking to their
Woodstock, New York.
timer for 10 minutes. We can hear you. Okay, welcome, Helene.
Gigi from Houston.
Welcome, Gigi.
Ned from Texas.
Thank you.
Hey, Ned.
Dee from Southern Illinois.
Hello, Dee. La, la.
Sandy from Reston, Virginia.
Oh, another D.
Janice from Maryland.
Hey, Janice.
Jim from North Carolina.
Hey, Jim.
Arlene, North Carolina.
All right,
Hey,
North
Arlene.
Carolina. Welcome, welcome.
Debbie Chatfield, Sun Lakes, Arizona.
Hey, Deb.
Hey.
Rosetta
Jody
Stone from Conyers, Georgia.
Welcome, Miss Rosetta.
Jody from New Hampshire.
Ontario. Oh, sorry, Jody.
Sorry.
Welcome, Brian and Jody.
Linda from Willis, Texas.
Hey, Linda.
Elizabeth from Newfoundland.
Welcome.
Okay.
Deb from Kansas.
Deb, welcome.
Vincent from New Jersey.
Welcome, Vince.
Thank you.
Valencia from Maryland.
Miss Moody's here. Welcome.
Hello. Thank you.
Luis from Indiana.
Hey, Louise.
Colin Columbus.
Welcome.
Sharon from New York.
Sharon.
Janice from Crystal Beach. I wasn't sure whether I was muted.
All right, you are welcome.
Great catch. It's going to run right down the middle. You're going to have safeties get wide, so the middle of the field has a chance.
All right, somebody's got their radio or TV in the background playing there.
Azadi from Welland, Canada.
Hey, Suzadi.
Thank you.
Who else?
David.
Hey, Michael. It's me from your climbing group, Tammy.
Hey, Tammy, welcome.
And David here from your climbing group from Toronto as well.
All right. Two of our favorite Canadians that were also on the hike with us climbing Kilimanjaro.
Joanne is here from Pennsylvania. I couldn't get unmuted, so I had to leave and come back. So
okay, welcome, Joanne.
Marguerite from New Jersey.
Hello, Marguerite.
Cynthia, Flower Mound.
Welcome.
Bridget from Atlanta.
Hello, Bridget.
Hello.
Intisar from Iowa.
Hello, Miss Intisar.
Thank you.
Anybody else that didn't get a chance to introduce yourself?
Nancy Greenberg from Arlington, Virginia.
Hello, Nancy. Welcome.
Thank you.
Jim from Missouri.
Welcome, Jim.
Kathy from Vancouver.
Welcome.
Hey.
I'm in Houston.
Hello, Ms. Sadia, the one and only. Anybody else? All right. Very good. Well, welcome
I'm
again.
listening to my tape.
I don't hear your tape, but you probably need to mute yourself. All right, Helene, we got you. All right, no problem. Okay, so what we're going to do is go ahead and again, thanks everybody for joining us today. I know there's a lot of people I recognize. There were a few names I didn't recognize, and we're certainly glad you're here and hopefully get to know you a little bit better later on through the afternoon and evening for some people. Julie, if you can go ahead and mute everybody one more time. Okay, again, for those that joined us late, I'm going to go ahead and start out talking a little bit, and then I'll take a break and let you guys ask some questions, talk some more, and take a break, etc. Okay. So again, it is, what is it? Habari ya mchana. Good afternoon in Swahili to everyone. Yeah, you pick up a few words here and there, but a lot of them I haven't been using, so I'm kind of weak on some of those. But anyway, so we're going to cover for sure the Mount Kilimanjaro climb, and hopefully we'll get to some of the safari. The Zanzibar part may be iffy, just depending on time, how it goes. So we'll see. So let's just jump right in there. The climb came about, there were a couple of guys up in Canada that knew somebody through the Ski for Light organization in Denmark that had done the climb, and so they had wanted to do it and got in touch with the actual person in Denmark, a guy named Lars that was the overall expedition leader, and he started setting up a trip for us. Well, I wasn't involved at first. A couple of Canadians, it was mostly Canadians, a few US people started joining in. This was almost a year ago, November of 2024. Well, it was a year ago, I guess. And I didn't actually find out about it until this past May 2025. A couple of the people that had signed up for different reasons had to drop out, and so they were looking for other people, and I saw some information about it, that they were looking for some hikers, and so I contacted one of the US focal points and told him I was interested, and they said, all right, we'd love to have you. And so I was added onto the team there in late May. So there were a total of 11 blind hikers altogether, 5 from the US, 6 from Canada. Some of these hikers decided to bring their own guides from the US and Canada. There were actually 3 from the US and 1 from Canada. So that got us up to 15. And then we added on, decided we wanted to have a documentarian go along to record everything. So now we were a group of 16 and then 17 with the expedition leader, Lars from Denmark. The documentarian actually was the same guy that guided me across the Grand Canyon when I did my rim to rim hike a little over a year ago, 2024. And so he was also setting up to, he filmed and took photos of the hike across the Grand Canyon. I was going to put together a documentary for that. And so once I found out they were wanting to find a documentarian, Crocky, he and I have become pretty good friends. And so I recommended him and it worked out and he got to go. And so he's recorded everything, got some great video and photos, and he's going to be working on the documentary here over the next several months, and hopefully next spring we'll have the documentary out of the whole climb. I stay in fairly good physical shape, but I wasn't in any kind of shape certainly to climb Kilimanjaro. So I had to earnestly, starting in about beginning of June, added on some extra workouts. I was working out 6 days a week. The main thing I did was added stair climbing. There's a 14-story building right down the street from me, so I'd go down to get in the stairwell there and just start climbing up and down the stairs. Starting out, just real simple 20 floors, and then I would keep adding on an extra 10 floors every week until I got up to 100 floors, where I could do 100 floors pretty regularly until it was time to go on the trip. Also added on the incline treadmill, maxed out the treadmill incline up to, 15, it says 15. I don't know if that's actually 15 degrees, but different machines I would use, I could tell it was not, they were all different, but I'd max them out and got on the treadmill, got on the treadmill and built up my time to where I could do, 4 hours without stopping. And so, I would take like a 5-minute break every hour, something like that, get some water and take a little break, but total of 4 hours. I had planned to go out to Colorado in September for a couple of weeks, but the plans just got nixed on that. It didn't work out. And so I was hoping to get up into some, do some mountain hiking and a little bit of exposure to some elevation. But like I said, that just did not work out. And so, there's really nothing you can do to train for altitude. It's very much based on your own genetics. I mean, there have been, world Olympic class athletes that have gone and tried to hike it, and because of their genetics, they got altitude sickness, could not complete the climb. In some cases, actually suffered some very serious injuries and some even death. So it's it's nothing you just, you got to really pay attention to that. Ended up having to buy some extra gear, replace some old things that I had, got some additional clothing and a few things like that to complete everything that I would need for the trip itself. Some people have asked me, what does it cost to do a climb like this? And it varies depending on the tour company you go with. The tour company we were using is called Nana Safari, and our expedition leader, Lars from Denmark, is connected with this company, and so, of course, he recommended them. Per person, it was $3,150 US dollars, 3,150, plus each of us put in an additional $350 in tips, which would be pooled all together and then split up to tip all the various things that we would do along the way, all the different porters, the cooks, the guides, etc. And so to make sure, they all, I mean, they receive a little pay, but they depend on these tips quite a bit. So, and then of course, airfare. Depending on, well, at the time in June when I booked my airfare, it was running right around $2,000. So roughly what, $5,500 total for me in cost, plus the extra gear and clothing, probably throwing another $400. Close to, got up close to $6,000. Getting to Kilimanjaro is no simple matter either, just to get there. There's no direct flights, at least from Houston. I don't know from other places around the US and Canada, but almost everybody that went had to, fly, stop off somewhere in either Europe or somewhere in the Middle East before, and then catch another flight over to Kilimanjaro from there. I chose to use Qatar Airlines. So from Houston, there's a direct flight to Doha, Qatar, and from there, then another flight that takes you on down to Kilimanjaro. The flight from Houston to Doha was about a little over 15 hours. I left Houston like at 7 p.m. or a little before 7 p.m., which if you add on the 8-hour time difference would be like what, 5 and 3, 3 or 8 hours. Yeah, about 3 a.m. In the next morning. And then a 15-hour flight from there gets me in about 5:30 p.m. in the afternoon on the next day. So I actually left on September 27th, and with that day, the loss of a day, arrived in on the 28th afternoon and had a really long layover, like almost 9 hours in Doha. So got to visit the airport and learn all about the Doha airport. And then caught a 2 a.m. flight on the 29th out of Doha down to Kilimanjaro. It's about a 6-hour flight. So got in about 7:30 a.m. into Kilimanjaro airport. And once you get through customs and get all the checks and pay all the different fees that you have to pay for going in. And then the ride over to about an hour and a half ride over to back to a little town called Moshi, where the hotel was where we were staying. Finally got to there about 11:30 a.m. in the morning. And then we, once we got checked in the hotel, first thing I did was started unpacking my main suitcase and, had trying to separate everything that I needed for the climb. And of course I had, some clothing and things that I was going to keep later on for the safari and then to go to Zanzibar. But all my stuff for the climb, I had to also split up into two. Had a day pack that I would carry. And so, of course, that was going to be my water. Had my water bag in there and connected to a tube that I could drink from. Carrying roughly 3 liters of water, which equals about 6 pounds. And then my had to have rain gear every day, a few little snacks, and also you always needed to have toilet paper. So a little bit of toilet paper because there's no place no restrooms or anything like that along the way. once you start hiking. And so you just go out on the trail. And there it's kind of different. I know some places I've hiked, you got to either dig a hole and bury your poop and then carry out your dirty toilet paper in a baggie or something like that and have it, carry it out. But there they just throw the toilet paper on the ground saying it's biodegradable and it's, wherever if you have to go, you'll see little bits of toilet paper in all the different behind bushes and rocks and things wherever you can go. So had that. What else did I have in there? I think I had an extra little battery pack, power bank in case I needed it for my phone, power up my phone. So I try to keep it to about 10 to 12 pounds, my day pack. And then we had another bigger bag that we could put everything else that we might need for, sleeping overnight and, change of clothes for the rest of the 9 days that we were going to be on the mountain. And so you could have up to 15 kilograms or 33 pounds. And I was well under that. I don't even think I got to 30 pounds. So that was no problem. I wish I'd have taken a bigger pack though, because it was always trying to, everything, first day it was all nice, neatly folded, rolled tightly. But once start getting on the mountain, everything kind of gets going every which way, and trying to get everything back in the bag is kind of a pain. So, but anyway, that bag, the porters that were with us, they would carry those for us. So we didn't have to carry that extra weight. And I'll be saying more about the support team in just a little bit. So I got there September 29th, and most other people arrived that same day in the morning sometime, or up till noon or afternoon. And most people, did kind of the same thing, checked out their gear, make sure everything was there. We didn't have any issues with people luggage not arriving on the same flight they came in on. So everybody had their stuff. And that was one reason we got there a couple of days early, just in case luggage doesn't always arrive with your flight. So and so that was pretty much that day. We got together for a dinner that night. The whole group met each other for the first time in person. And so that was pretty cool. We had been up to that point, a few people that knew each other in person, but for the most part, all of us had been meeting on Zoom once a month throughout the summer. And so it's nice to finally meet everybody in person. The next day, September 30th, we got to explore a little local village. And at that village, there was a blind rehab school. One of the ladies in our group had been checking this out and found it. And it was a school primarily for kids with albinism. And so, they had various degrees of vision. In that part of Africa, kids with albinism are considered in danger. And so they provide that school not only, whether they're visually impaired or not, but because the local, I don't know what you call them, witch doctors or whatever like that, use those, and they'll use body parts of kids with albinism. And so to protect them until they, get old enough in their teenage years and can kind of fight for themselves, they will stay there at that school. And it was pretty neat. We got to talk to them through interpreters, and they would ask questions to us. But the big highlight, they were waiting for the various gifts that we had brought along. We brought, things that blind thing equipment and things like that, and then we had various toys. The toys were the primary of interest to these little kids. Then there were some donations made for the school to help continue the school and keep it in business. So, and they're continuing to take donations. So if anybody's interested in helping out with that, then I can provide you a link to how to make a donation for that. But to see all these little kids and how excited they were to just be around us. I wear sunglasses most of the time, and I had mirrored ones, and I didn't realize it. And the little bit of vision I had, there'd be 4 or 5 little kids below me and just kind of staring up, looking at me. And finally, I got figured out, they're looking at themselves in my mirrored sunglasses. So that was pretty cool. And we would sit down and get to talk to them, ask them, what they like about school and their favorite subjects and that kind of thing, and what their favorite foods are. And they would ask us the same things and we'd tell them what we eat and that kind of thing. So it was just a fun time. We spent a couple hours there, and that was a real highlight. One of the initial highlights before even we got to start the climb. So now let's talk about the climb itself. It was chosen for us. Our expedition leader chose the Lemosho route. It's called the Lemosho route, Lemosho. That route was chosen for several reasons. It just happens to be one of the best views in most scenic routes, but primarily it was chosen because you can go very slowly up the mountain, and over a period of 6-7 days to get acclimated to the change in altitude. A lot of us were going from almost sea level and going to be going up to over 19,000 feet, 6,000 meters. And so that was, it's a big change to adapt to. And so this would allow us to acclimate. We started out October 1st, and when we started, we took a bus, about a 2.5-hour ride on a bus, and that got us to the entrance to the Kilimanjaro, or one of the entrances to the Kilimanjaro National Park, and that was the Lemosho Gate, and that was at an altitude of about 2,100 meters or 6,900 feet. And so from there, we were going to the camp that we were going to for that night, McCulloch camp, which sits at about 2,800 meters or 9,400 feet. And it was going to be about a 7-kilometer, 4.3 miles. And it was expected to take us about 3 or 4 hours, half a day. So, once we left after breakfast, got loaded up, got all our gear loaded up, left the hotel, and I can't remember if we made a stop. We made a stop somewhere to pick up some people, and it just seemed like it took us a lot longer than we were expecting. And then once we got to the Lemosho Gate, we were going to have lunch, and that was going to be our lunch there. And we had to wait around a little bit to get a table where the group could sit and have lunch. And then finally, after all of that, we, all our gear was out there. The porters were loading up all the equipment that they were going to carry. They carry, everything that we would need for the next 9 days on the mountain. All the camping gear, sleeping bags, sleeping pads, all the cooking equipment, all the food, equipment to sanitize water with. Fortunately, there's streams at nearby almost every campsite, and so they could go collect water, bring it back, boil it, do some put other chemicals in there to sanitize it, and so we would have drinkable potable water. And so we had that every night or all the time to fill up our water bladders and water bottles for cooking and for drinking during meals. At the gate, the team leader, registered us. At each campsite, they'd have to register the whole team. He'd write down individually everybody's name that had got there, that was on the team, and that's how they keep track when people enter each campsite, and then going on to the next campsite, and then they can track and make sure nobody gets lost along the way. There was a huge support team. So, for the 17 of us, there were approximately 85 or so support staff. Tanzania government says that requires at least 3 per every hiker that goes up. And we had roughly 5 because we also, each one of the blind hikers had a personal guide from Nana Safari. And so, we had some extra people like that, had some extra people. They carried toilets, especially for us. Even though the campsites have some toilets, we had our own personal toilet tents. I don't remember how many we had, 3, 4 maybe. And so, a couple of extra people carrying all those toilets and tents, and they're responsible each day, keeping them clean, setting them up, taking them down, etc. And it's unbelievable how much these guys can carry. And there were some women also. I don't want to be sexist here, but yeah, they would be carrying anywhere from 50 pounds or so, and maybe even more than that, 50 to 60 pounds. And you'd see guys carrying stuff up on their backs, up on their heads. As we'd be hiking along, after they've packed up, when we've left after breakfast, they start cleaning up, packing up everything, and then eventually they catch up with us. And of course, they can hike those trails like nothing, and they're passing us up, and then they go ahead of us and get to the next campsite, setting up everything. And by the time we get there, everything is set up, and your own personal tent set up. You got your sleeping bag, your porter bag is all, everything is in your tent and ready to go for you to get settled in for the night. And so that would happen every single day. That first day's hike, was because it was pretty warm. Probably, and I'm just going to use Fahrenheit. So sorry, you Canadians and others that use Celsius. It's about 70 to 75 degrees Fahrenheit, and a lot of us were just wearing shorts and t-shirts. We were in the sun part of the time initially, and then we got into the jungle forests. and there even blocked the sun, but it was still fairly warm. And we started gaining altitude. And like I said, we were going up to that first camp was going to put us at, for what I said, 9,400 feet. And so it started cooling down towards the end of the hike there, probably down in the 50s or so. Overnight low, I was surprised that the low was still probably in the low 40s or high 30s. So it's fairly cold, or to me it's cold. But I know you Canadians think that's like short sleeve weather. So, but anyway, and I was very comfortable that night sleeping. I mean, I just wore shorts and a t-shirt, and the sleeping bags that we had, you could rent them. Some people brought their own, but I rented one, and they were rated down to, I think, 10, 15 degrees Fahrenheit. So they kept you pretty warm. Once we got there, we had dinner. Every night dinner was scheduled roughly at 7 p.m. and the next morning's breakfast was usually at 7 a.m. There were a couple of days when that kind of skewed a little bit, but that was basically the schedule. And it was unbelievable, the meals that they could make out there on the mountain. And I mean, we had, fresh fruit, we had meat, breakfast had sausage and eggs, bacon and eggs, toast, all kinds of, I don't know how they baked bread, but it seemed like we had some baked bread at times. They even baked a cake one day. It was one of the ladies had a birthday, and so they baked a birthday cake one of the days that we were on the mountain there. Out of the group of 17 of us, I think about 10 or so, we all had you could have a single tent. I mean, it was the same size tent as for a double for two people, but it was, you could go ahead and pay a little extra and get a single tent. And so that's what I did. I had a single tent, and then there were about 7 people that did shared tents, a couple of couples that were together, shared a tent. Then there were 3 women from California that I guess they got them a special 3-person tent. And so the 3 of them were all together. But most people had single tents. But the campsites, depending on the campsite, sometimes the tents were literally just back to back, touching each other. And that's the way it was on that first night. I happened to be right next to probably the loudest snorer in our whole group. And I think I slept for about an hour and a half that first night. I mean, even I had earplugs and everything, and just wasn't able to sleep that well. I'm trying to check my time here. Okay, I've got a few more minutes. Get through, finish up day 1, maybe day 2. Then we, first night, not very much sleep. The snorer from that point on, they put his tent as far away from everybody else because he kept other people up that night also. So that was good that they decided to set him up pretty far away. I didn't really hear him that much after that. Day 2, October 2nd. So, we're going from McCulloch camp, which again was 9,400 feet. And we were heading towards, we were going to hike to Shira camp, which would get us up to 11,900 feet. It was, we'd be hiking out of the forest areas, the jungle areas, and into what's called the Shira Plateau. Pretty much open to the sun, about a 5-mile hike. And it was expected to take about 9 to 10 hours. So initially, hiking going further up, and we were still in that dense, really beautiful forest from what people that I was around were describing it. And supposedly there's two kinds of monkeys there. One called the colobus monkey. It's a kind of a big black and white colored monkey. I think they spotted a few of those on the first day as we went in. I'm not sure they saw them on that second day as we were leaving. And then there was another monkey that they did not see. It's called the blue balls monkey. And as you can probably guess, its scrotum were a brightest, beautiful blue that you've ever seen in your life, they say. So it was unfortunate we didn't get to see them, but yeah, everybody wanted to see blue balls. Anyway, as the forest thinned out, we continued to ascend, and the landscape, opened up, like I said, and we were out in the sun more, and started becoming warm, and you could see a lot further out. They were describing the scenery, started seeing some of the surrounding mountains, and eventually when we got to the next camp could actually see the summit of Kilimanjaro. Let's see, once we got up to about 9,800 feet, there's a what is it called? There's a crater, and one of the volcanic craters from where it really opens up onto the Shira Plateau and have a really good view. So in that area, so there's three little mountains, not little, but three mountains, volcanoes that ended up creating mountains. One is Shira, one is Kibo, which is the one with the highest peak, Uhuru Peak, which is the one that we were going for. That was the main goal. And then another one called Mwinzi. And so those three peaks were there adjacent to each other. They didn't really create they didn't create a mountain range. They were all freestanding. And so Shira was actually the oldest peak, but during one, I guess way back when, during one of the eruptions, it actually sunk. The ground opened up and it sunk. And so the crater there that was formed got filled by eruptions from Kibo. Nearby Kibo eruptions filled it and created the plateau. So that's where the Shira Plateau came from. And as we continued hiking and up to the camp, what's it called? I guess, yeah, just again, the views they were saying were just really spectacular. It was, nice and sunny, really clear, could really see out over the plateau itself, and great views of Kibo and Uhuru Peak, the summit, Kilimanjaro summit. That night, the temps started getting noticeably cooler. Well, during the day, it was even getting cooler. I think that during the daytime, it was in the 40s to 50s Fahrenheit. And then overnight, low, I think they said, got down near freezing. I 32 degrees Fahrenheit, the 0 Celsius. I know that one. And that night, day 2, I only slept 2 hours. So for whatever reason, I'm not getting any sleep. So I'm going to take a break here and open it up for a few questions. So, Julie.
Yeah.
Okay. And if you'll just say your name and wait till I acknowledge you, and we'll take a few questions here.
Ed?
Yeah, go ahead, Ed.
Yeah, with all of your training, and I know you trained quite hard before the trip. Do you think you trained enough or not enough or just about the right amount for the trip and the climb?
I wish I could have trained more, but just time-wise, because I got involved late, I didn't feel like I trained enough. But I mean, as I'll talk about later, it was really more the altitude that got to me than my physical shape.
Okay.
So,
Debbie?
go, Debbie.
So was the terrain kind of more like, say, the bottom of the Grand Canyon, or coming out like at South Rim? What, big high steps? What was the terrain like?
So the first day was through the forest, and that was mostly just, I mean, even though it was fairly steep, it was just the ground and roots, tree roots, maybe a few rocks. Once we got out of there, that second day, the second day coming out on the plateau, it started getting rockier, and there were a few places that were, there were some pretty good sized rocks that you had to climb over, walk through, and so it's not really steps, not like the Grand Canyon, which is pretty manicured and has steps along the way, but just kind of uneven rocks here and there to step around on that second day. I found the second day fairly hard, actually, going up.
This is Jody.
Heather?
Jody, Ned, and then Heather.
Okay. Did you have to cut through the brush, or were there established footpaths, or how would you describe that?
Yeah. The trails were already well established, so yeah, we didn't have to worry about anything like that. Yeah, no limbs hanging in the way. Occasionally, I'd notice my guide would pick up a limb maybe that had fallen and throw it out off the trail, something like that. You're in the jungles area.
Okay, thank you.
This is Cindy.
Hang on, Cindy. I think Ned, and then Heather, and then.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes, you kind of alluded to that. My question is, how did you interact with your guide along the way? Were you together or tethered or just nearby each other?
So all of us were different. We met our personal guide on the first day there. When we got to the gate, we didn't really interact too much there, but once we started hiking, I tried to describe best I could. And he spoke not real good English, but enough to understand. And so my preferred method is I follow behind the guide roughly anywhere from 3 feet, a meter to 2 meters behind them. And then they're just calling out, step up, step down. And I have enough vision where I can see a shadow if he moves left or right, so I can tell that. But that usually worked out pretty good. Occasionally found that he was getting his right and left mixed up. And so especially if he turned around to look at me, but then I realized, okay, I can hear him, he's turned around speaking to me now. And I figured it was the opposite. So I just kind of used that and was able to whenever he would say, step over to the left, step over to the right, around roots and things like that. So, but yeah, other people would, I don't think anybody was tethered. Some used a pole. So the guide would hold one end of the pole, the hiker would hold another end. They'd be roughly a meter behind them. And they can sense, if they're stepping up or stepping down, similar to doing sighted guide, holding an arm or something. And so they can feel that and are able to hike that way. I've tried that technique, but I just have never liked it. And so I don't use that at all. Others, the guide would walk beside them and just be, giving them instructions from the walking beside them. And maybe at times, if it was going to be a little bit dangerous, then they would hold on to an arm and help them step up or down. So, yeah, that varied. Good question. Okay, I believe Heather and then Cindy.
The backpacks that you wore,
Uh-huh.
were they supplied by the organizers, or did you have to bring your own?
Yeah, we brought our own backpacks.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah. So I had, well, that was one thing I had to replace because the backpack had been using, it pretty much was deteriorating after my hike last year across the Grand Canyon. I had started using that one back in 2019 when I did Machu Picchu and other hikes around Colorado and Utah. And so it was pretty much done. So I ended up getting a new little backpack. It was not real big. Like I said, carried a water bladder with a tube that came out around over the shoulder, clipped on, so I could drink water anytime I needed it easily. Okay, let's see. Next we had Cindy, I think, and then Helene.
Hi, Michael. Let's see. Number one, let's see. Did you have jet lag after such a long flight? And number two is, what is your personal motivation and drive to climb?
Ooh, great questions. So I had a little bit of jet lag. I had more coming back. So going over there, though, I think the adrenaline was there to kind of get me in. But I quit that day. I started, even before I left, I started sleep shifting. So to try to get close to that 8-hour difference. I think I got close up to about 5 hours difference. So that helped a lot for me anyway, to do that sleep shift. Started doing that a couple of weeks out. My motivation for climbing, it's there. No, it's just something I enjoy, or at least I tell myself I enjoy it when I'm not doing it. There are times when I'm out there and go, what the hell am I out here for? This is crazy. But yeah, no. And then afterwards, just being able to think about it, talk to others about it, especially as a blind hiker, that, showing not only other blind people, but just other people in general, that, regardless of what's going on in your life, that, you can there's always ways to adapt and do things. And so that's part of the motivation, just to, I don't like the word inspiration. I don't want to be someone that does inspires others. But I just do it and with the hope that others will actually, be able to see that all things are possible. Just need a little bit of, determination, passion, a little bit of passion for doing something, and of course, we all need help at times. And so to be able to reach out and ask for help. So thanks.
you.
That was a great question. Helene, and this will be the last question and then we'll have to move on. Go ahead, Helene. Are you there? Helene. All right, we're going to have to jump over Helene. She's probably having trouble getting unmuted. Intisar, you get the last question. I heard your name.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Very quick. Did you use your, number one, did you use your cane on the climb? And second, you talked about breakfast and dinner, but you hiked for 9 hours. Did you stop in the middle for lunch?
Okay, I'll start with the last part. Yeah, lunch. We always had lunch too. Yes, I left that out. I guess I mentioned dinner and breakfast because those were always there at the campsite, and it had a big mess tent that would hold, all 20 of us or however many of us there were. And so that's why I mentioned those. But lunch was always on the trail, and actually they set up that same mess tent. The cooks would go ahead and get to a place wherever the stopping break place would be for lunch, and they'd set up that same tent and have lunch ready for us. And generally it was a hot lunch. Yeah, I mean, we had soup almost every meal. Breakfast, it was a porridge, then some kind of soup for lunch, plus other stuff, vegetables and meat, and then soup for dinner. But yeah, the soups were really good, actually. That was a good thing, especially on those cold days and nights.
Helene.
Oh, you came in, Helene. All right, go ahead, and then we're going to have to move on. Go ahead.
Finding me on mute.
Yeah, you're good.
I have a question of the. I know this sounds a little sexist, but out of the women that were participating, was how many women and how many men, were and how many were blind totally? Like, because I have friends who will say to me, "I can't see a light bulb when I come in my house. You're still more sighted." And, so I take affront, but then I understand where they're coming from. So if you can try to answer those two.
Yeah. So actually there were more females than men, more women than men. Out of the 11, I think it was 6 women, 5 men. And I'm just going to take a guess. I think 1, 2, 3, 4 were, I would say, totally blind. Maybe 5. Yeah, 5.
Okay.
And that's counting both men and women. And then others had, at least had light perception.
Yes.
Maybe others. There were some that were, I know a couple of the younger ones that were, I would say, low vision, because they could probably get around without a cane if they're in real familiar territory.
Wow.
So anyway, that's the breakdown that best I can remember anyway. All right, we're going to have to move on. So Julie, if you can go ahead and mute everyone again. All right, I can already see we're at an hour in. I know we took 10 or 15 minutes doing some intros and things like that, but I'm going to probably just barely get through the climb itself, and so might have to do a second one to anybody that wants to hear about the safari and et cetera. All right, let's move on. We're on day 3, October 3rd. So we're going from Shira Camp, which again is at 11,900 feet. And we're going to be hiking over to what's called Moore Hut. And that's at about 13,500 feet. It's going to be crossing across the Shira Plateau again. We're going to encounter something called Shira Cathedral. It's a rock formation. I guess probably looks like a cathedral, I'm guessing, where it got its name. The total hike is about 6.2 miles, and we're expecting it to take us about 8 to 10 hours. Weather conditions this day were pretty much sunny and dry. It was crossing over what's called moorland terrain, and the temps are, because we're getting up altitude, and we're probably between 35 to 50 degrees Fahrenheit during the day. And there was, and of course, getting up at altitude, you start getting some strong UV exposure. So you had to make sure you had pretty good UV protection on your eyes. And the wind did get a little bit gusty from what I can remember. When we got on the ridge line, we're going to climb up to a ridge and walk across a ridge to get to the Moor Hut campsite. Let's see. Oh, day 3. Okay. After breakfast, at breakfast, one of the hikers notified the team that they were going to be not continuing on with the hike. It was just because of the situation and the physical demand, decided that it was best that they not go forward. And so we had to say goodbye to one of the hikers at that point. So that took us down to 10. We're still got plenty of people to, we're looking to set the world record, which right now was at 8 blind people summiting it on the same day together. So we've got to trying to break that. So we got 10 people, got a little bit of leeway still. As we're hiking, we're continuing directly up towards the, like I said, that ridge, and that was going to take us where it was going to be some really nice views, they said, that you could, of the mountains. You'd be able to see what's called both the Shira Needle and the Shira Cathedral. The first few hours of the day, we're trying to cross this area. Well, I mentioned the moorland, this famous moorland area, and that lies roughly at an altitude. The moorlands go from about 9,200 feet up to 13,100 feet. So as we're crossing over that, of course, we're ascending during that period. The moorland, the characteristics of the moorland, it's characterized, it's got low bush growth, and then there's some special plants that are kind of like a mossy type plant. And especially when we got close to the campsite, as you walk along, you would be kicking this white kind of mossy thing that just kind of fluffy, and you had to make sure your tent was always zipped up or you'd get that stuff inside your tent. After another few hours, it was fairly smooth and easy going up this part of the hike, until we reached the foot of the Shira Cathedral, and again, the sheer cathedral was at about 13,100 feet. So we got up there, and so we're on day, what did I say, 4, and this is day 3, and we're going to try to increase our height and to be able to acclimate a little bit better, and so that's why we're going on up a little bit higher. A lot of days we would, hike up a little bit higher during the day and then hike back down to sleep. And also, just because there were some pretty spectacular views from up there. Also from up there, they said you could see directly down to the lowlands, and also another trail route called Machame. You could see that from up on the route that we were on. And then we just continued hiking, and from there was that ridge. We're going across that ridge, and we continue until we get to the our campsite, the Moore Hut campsite, and there we're going to spend the night. I think the low temps got down to like maybe in the upper 20s. It was starting to get cold. Oh, I forgot to mention the first night. So I had a water bottle, one of those rubber water bottles, and so I took it to dinner, and after dinner I was going to fill it with hot water because I was going to sleep with it to help keep me warm, especially my feet. My feet get really cold, and so everybody started kidding me that I was the only one that had this water bottle and getting hot water to put in it. And so one of the women said, "Oh, that's what do you call it? Low maintenance girlfriend," and everybody got a good laugh out of that. And so I named my water bottle Rachel, not that I know any Rachels. And so every night I would take Rachel to dinner with me and fill her up with hot water to take back to my sleeping bag. So that's how that went. Also this day, we're up at 13,000 feet, and I didn't notice it right away, but as later on that evening, I started getting dizzy, started feeling dizzy, having headaches. And again, I only slept about 2 hours that night. Day 4. So leaving Moore Hut at 11,800 feet and heading over to the Barranco camp, which was going to take us up to about 13,000 feet again. So we're several days we're staying right in that range, right? No more. We're hitting 13,000 feet. Although we are going to ascend up much higher this day. We're going to something called the Lava Tower, and that was going to get us up to a little over 15,000 feet, about 15,100 feet. And so that was another time where hike high during the day and then back down to sleep at night back at the Barranco camp, which again was about 13,000 feet. So that's where I started experiencing some really tough time. As far as the terrain, it was called the high alpine terrain. Daytime temps were between 30 and 45. The wind was really cold, especially when you got up near Lava Tower. And I think there was a little bit of fog starting to blow in too. during that later on that day, once we got up close to Barranco Camp. Initially starting out, it was just a gradual, moderate hike up. It was rocky. The path was pretty rocky. And so it was kind of slow going, being real careful where you step. Don't want any twisted ankles and whatnot. But again, everybody was just, the sighted people anyway were describing all these wonderful views they could see back at the Shira Cathedral and there's another mountain called, I can't remember the name of it, Mount Meru in the background. They said they had really spectacular views of that as we were heading up. The landscape becomes more raw and barren as we continue up towards the lava tower, just basically becoming like volcanic rock. I start, as I got on up to, going up 13,000, 14,000 feet, I was getting really dizzy at this point. I'd start swaying. My guide ended up walking beside me, actually holding my arm, making sure I don't, fall over. I was having some headaches. Also started having some diarrhea. And on the trail, I had stopped and, it came out pretty much just liquid. And after I wiped and from the squatting position, I tried to stand up when I was trying to stand up, and I just fell just over to my left side. I just plopped straight over. And I kind of let out a little yell when I did that. And the guide that was with me, he comes running down, helps me up. Here I am, butt sticking up in the air. And so once he helps me up, I say, I'm okay. And so I pull up my pants and button up my pants and everything, pretty embarrassed. But yeah, that diarrhea is another symptom of altitude sickness. At this point, I realized I pretty much got it. Starting to experience, not only the dizziness and the headaches, now the diarrhea. When we got to the lunch spot there, once we got up to the lava tower, we were going to take a break, have lunch. And so I got to the mess tent, told Lars about it, and he had some special meds. I forgot what it's called. Shoot, I didn't write it down. But anyway, he gave me some prescription meds to kill the bug right away. And I'd already been taking Imodium and that kind of thing to help stop it too. But, by the next day it had stopped. So that was a good thing. But I was still, from there on, the dizziness, headaches, no appetite. I had to force myself to eat pretty much every meal, and they were telling me to, eat, Michael, because I needed, the nourishment to keep me going anyway. But we continued on. After lunch, we started heading back down, and it was, fairly moderate hike down, again, rocky, volcanic rock. They said they saw some, they called them lamb vultures, and also some other small birds as we were hiking back down to the campsite. we went through this beautiful little valley, and the two where you could see two of Kilimanjaro's some of the famous flowers that are up on native up on the Kilimanjaro. One of them they called the large woody giant groundsel, and the other one was a spherical succulent called a giant lobelia. That one was characterized by, during the day it opened up and at night it closed. So I guess hopefully somebody got pictures of those. As we arrived at the Bronco camp, I think the fog had lifted because people said they could, there, just before sunset, could see, had really magnificent views of the summit of Kilimanjaro from there. So that was very cool to be able to see that. The word Bronco itself, Barranco, Bronco, in Swahili means gorge. By the way, I don't think I mentioned that. Swahili is the native language of Tanzania. So, probably a word that a lot of you have heard. What's it called? Those of you that have seen Lion King, I'm sure have heard the word Hakuna Matata. And so I never knew that was Swahili, but means everything's fine, wonderful, great. So you hear that a lot. People ask how you're doing. Hakuna Matata. You need any help? Hakuna Matata. So that was used quite a bit. And anytime somebody helped you, you would always say asante or asante sana, meaning thank you very much. Where was I? Oh, the Bronco. Yeah, it means gorge in Swahili. Also from here, they said you could see it was the view of the Bronco wall itself. And this is a pretty famous, it's talked about, one of the most talked about features of Kilimanjaro, the Bronco wall. We were going to be climbing this the next day. The wall, looking at it from the camp, they said it had these striated with ridges and gullies, and it gave it a rugged fortress-like appearance from the camp. If you looked at it during the day, especially in the mornings, you'd see little dots kind of going across up that little wall, and those were hikers that were ascending the Barranco wall. So we were going to get to do that the next day. Overnight lows, it's getting cold again, still down into about the mid-20s. And as usual, I got 2 hours of sleep. So by this point, I am really struggling. Just with 2 hours of sleep, trying to hike, 6, 8, 9, 10 hours a day. And, the sleep, I guess that's also another symptom of altitude sickness, or also they call it AMS, acute mountain sickness. Just some people, have it, some people don't. So there's no rhyme or reason to it, who gets it or who doesn't. It's pretty random based on your genetic makeup. Okay, moving on to day 5, October 5th. We're going from the Bronco camp. They're at 13,000 feet, and we're going to go. Our next campsite's the Karanga camp, and we're not going to gain very much altitude. We're going to go up and come back down again, but we're going to just go to about 13,100 feet. It was going to be roughly about, not that far, 3.7 miles, a little under 4 miles. It was expected to take us 6 to 7 hours, and that included the climb up the famous Bronco Wall. They said the alpine views were spectacular, but in the morning it was just really cold. I remember getting up and I said, I don't even want to get out of this sleeping bag, but I had to force myself to do that. Got kind of windy also as we got out and got going. The temps were somewhere down in the 30 to 40, 45 range high during the day. After breakfast, it was about a 1-hour hike. And it was fairly kind of rugged, the hike that we did to get to the base of the Bronco Wall. And from there was hiking up. The Bronco Wall is about 900 feet up, and some of it you can hike normally, but other parts of it, the fun parts of it, for me, I enjoyed it. I think most people did, was actually scrambling. You're using your hands and feet and down on your knees at times, scrambling up and down rocks. And there were places where the path was narrow and you kind of sidestepped and you were hugging the rock as you sidestepped along the way. And so I really enjoy doing the rock climbing aspects of it. And, because of that, some people initially find it very intimidating, but, once you get up there and get going, then it's all fine. No problems. And like I said, most people end up, really enjoying it. And it took us about an hour and a half, I think, to get through that scrambling part. And then once we got through that, then it was just hiking on up another few hours to get to the top of the Bronco Wall. There was one spot as you were doing that sidestep and hugging the wall. There was one special rock they called the kissing rock. And so everybody, as you went by it, you had to kiss the rock. And of course, they got your picture kissing the rock. And so I haven't seen my picture yet. So hopefully they'll send we'll get to see those. But I was thinking, boy, the people that were hiking back during COVID, I wonder if they all kissed the rock or not. It's kind of like in one spot. So anyway, once we got to the top, it's about 13,800 feet. And so that was the highest we go that day. And then we're going to go back down to 13,000 to camp out at the Karanga camp. When we had lunch up at the top, started getting a light rain when we were in the mess tent. And so for the most part, I think most people put on their rain gear. This was the only day that I used it anyway, put on my rain gear. And so I'd gotten some new rain gear because my old stuff was all starting to deteriorate again. And so I got to try it out. It worked pretty good. Didn't get wet as we left lunch and got out and played in the rain for a little bit of the hike. It wasn't really rain. It was just more like a mist. A few little raindrops here and there, but not bad at all. as we continued hiking, the landscape changed again. They call it the Afro-Alpine Mountain Desert. Is what we're seeing as we're hiking on back down to the Karanga camp. It's characterized by it has large plateaus, the volcanic rock, and again more spectacular views of the summit of Kilimanjaro. From here, we descended the descent was pretty easy, going back down to the Karanga camp. There was a little valley, the Karanga Valley, that we crossed through, or I guess actually the camp is in the valley. I am still, because I'm, not getting any sleep, it's like the last 2 hours of the day, and usually that's like about a mile and a half, a couple of kilometers or so, that I'm just dragging. And they said I was actually falling asleep. I would doze off at times as I'm hiking. And so they got scared and had my personal guide on one side of me and had some other helper come in and would stand by me on my other side, making sure I didn't, fall out and bust my head open or something. So anyway, that was, when I saw them doing that, I kind of got a little afraid that they were going to say I couldn't go on. But every morning I was okay and heading out good. It was just that end of the day kind of thing. I was just worn out just because I wasn't getting any sleep. When we got to the camp there at Karanga Camp, they said there were these little striped mice and running around, and some kind of a white-necked raven. It's supposed to be really beautiful there too, that they were in that campsite. That dizziness and just just worn out was just causing me issues. And that was pretty much my pattern every night. Again, that day 5, I only slept 2 hours. Going into day 6, this was going to be a short day, so we got an extra hour of sleep. I let everybody sleep in an extra hour because we were only going to be going about just a few miles, like 2.5 miles, and it was only going to take 4 to 6 hours hiking. It was going to be a fairly easy hike. Well, we're still going to get some altitude. We're going from Karanga Camp, which is 13,100 feet, to the Barafu Camp, which is up at 15,300 feet. So, we're gaining some altitude, a couple of thousand feet there, a little over a couple of thousand feet of altitude elevation change. And Barafu Camp is actually going to be the base camp for the summit on day 7. Up in the altitude, it's really cold, windy, daytime temps 20s to 30s, may have reached up to 40 during the day, but pretty cold. At night, there was some frost on our tent overnight. That night, that campsite, Barafu, it was pretty desolate and pretty kind of rugged. I mean, every time you took a step, it's like walking on broken glass. That volcanic little plate-like rocks were all around there, and it was really steep. I remember, for some reason, they put my tent almost like the furthest away from the mess tent. So getting up to the mess tent was always a real chore. I had my hiking boots, but then I had some just some other trail runner shoes that I would use when I got to camp, and they were old ones, and so they didn't have much traction on them, and they did nothing on that on the volcanic plates, and so I had to end up just wearing my regular hiking boots just to get to and from the mess tent. So at dinner this night, I know I am in bad shape physically because of lack of sleep. And so I called after dinner. I asked the expedition leader, Lars, the main tour guide leader, Idrissa, and my personal guide to have a meeting after dinner. And so, I was talking to them and I said, if I get to bed here in the next half hour and can sleep 8 hours, because we're going to be waking up at, this is like 9 p.m. or 8:30 p.m. when I'm talking to them. And so if I can get to sleep 9 p.m., sleep till 5 a.m., then I think I'll be in good shape and I can make it. And they all said, okay. But at the same time, they had already decided that based on the shape I was in, they weren't going to let me hike the next day. They were not going to let me go up on the summit. It was just going to be too risky to me, to my guide. So didn't want to take any chances. And so what I told Lars was, I'll give him a call around 4:15. I'll wake up a little bit early and give him a call. Just give him a status, how much I'd slept and everything, and how I'm feeling. And so when my alarm went off, woke up. Well, I didn't wake up. I'd already been awake because I'd only slept 2 hours again. So, just really regretfully, I told him, I know that, I'm not going to be able to go. And so I said, please tell the others at breakfast, really sorry I can't make it, and really wish I could be there with them as they hike out, but it's just not in the cards this time. So anyway, so I ended up staying back at camp as everybody else. They got up around 5, started hiking around 6. Based on talking to the people that did go, I'll kind of tell you a little bit about what their hike was like. First, what I did, staying back, after everybody left, I went to breakfast, had breakfast, and came back and just crashed. And for some reason, I was able to sleep. I don't know if it's because there was no noise around or whatever. And, even though I was using great earplugs, I wasn't able to sleep on any of those other days, but I slept a couple of hours. And then I woke up. They brought me lunch to my tent. I didn't even have to get out and go climb that hill up to the mess tent. Brought me lunch, had lunch. Then after lunch, I ended up repacking all my cold clothes that I had unpacked and had set aside ready to, hike if I were going to hike up to the summit. So I put all those clothes back in my bag because I wasn't going to need those anymore. I had like 5 layers upper, 2, 3 layers lower for the hike up, because it's supposed to be really cold. I don't know how cold it actually got. I didn't ask anybody that. Well, there's a couple of people on or one person on that hiked. We'll ask him in a minute. And got everything packed. Took another little nap. So, I'm getting a little bit more sleep. Starting to feel a little bit better, even though I'm still dizzy. And it's a real chore for me to breathe. Even at 15,000 feet, I know now my limit is probably the upper 13 to 14,000 is probably my limit altitude wise. It's just genetically, it's just going to happen. and just got to be careful. But the air, of course, is a lot thinner there at 15,000 feet, and even more thinner once you get up to the 19,000 feet and 6,000 meters, and it's roughly 50% at sea level, what I'm used to up at that. So I would have never, made it at that because I was breathing hard just to, put on my boots, tie my boots. I'd be breathing hard. So that was a big issue. But what I missed, those that went up on summit day, like I said, they woke up at 5 a.m., started out climbing around 6 a.m. Most groups that hike, they take off in the middle of the night, 10, 11, midnight, hike all night, and try to get there at sunrise, watch sunrise from the summit. But our group, because of all of us with the blind people and needing the guides to, have good visibility to be able to guide the blind people up, they decided to take off, once it got sunlight at 6 a.m. And with that allowed the team, the people, to get there, 8 hours later in the middle of the afternoon when they were the only ones there. Normally, all these other people that, take off in the middle of the night, hike all night, get there at sunrise. I mean, you got like, 6, 7, 8, maybe 10, 12 groups all there at one time at sunrise. And, they're all trying to get their pictures up by the summit sign and not the kind of thing. And so it's a real hassle. So it was kind of neat for the group to be able to do that and not have to deal with a bunch of other people there. They were the only ones there. They told me that the first part of the ascent going up was relatively, I mean, it was still hard, but easier than once they got up higher up. And then after that first hour, then it really got steep as they were going on up. Temps, just guessing, were somewhere 10 to 20 degrees Fahrenheit. Fairly windy. Again, the very thin air. It was very sunny. They had a beautiful day, but intense sun. Once they got up there, up to the crater, the glacier had glare from the glacier. There was pretty significant, but the views were just really stunning, spectacular. So they, after that first hour, hiked another 6 to 7 hours, and they reached a kind of a key point called Stella Point, and that was at about 18,900 feet. And so that's where you have a first look at the crater, the rim, over the rim of the crater. Yep. And they continued hiking for another hour and a half or so, 2 hours, and got up to the top, to the summit. And so 9 blind hikers made it to the summit. And so that did set the new world record. And each of them did a video recording where, they said their name, where they're from, the date, and their blindness status. And so with that documents that, they were all there same day. They didn't, even though they didn't all get there at the exact same time, it still counts. So yeah, they summited Africa's the world's highest freestanding volcanic mountain. Pretty awesome. most of them only stayed, 10, 15, 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes at most, and then headed back down. Got back down a lot quicker than going up, probably half the time. The first person came in around, I think, 6:30 p.m., so roughly 12 hours after they had taken off. I was there in the mess tent and was greeting and welcoming everybody, high-fiving, congratulating the people. But they were spent. I mean, everybody that came in, they just plopped down in a chair, barely could eat dinner. It wasn't an evening to be having, all kind of celebrations, even though they had accomplished something truly incredible. But so every person that came in, I would hug them and tell them congratulations. I think the last hiker to got back in around 9:15 p.m. And so one person did have some issues after reaching the top, had some, I guess, some fluid in the lungs, and they had to send a rescue team to quickly get him down. So they carried him down to the point where they could reach a ranger station, and where they have a road that could drive him on down to the bottom. But once he got to the bottom, he was fine. I think he did go to the hospital and had no issues, so he was fine from that point on. So that's well, there were a couple of more days where we hiked down. We spent from Barafu camp, it's about a 10-hour hike to the next camp. And, it's going down pretty quickly. I mean, we got only 2 days and we're going down very steep, down from, 19,000 or 15,000 feet, where the base camp, on down the rest of the way. And so it descends very steeply, quickly. That last day, as I was going down, it was very slippery. I mean, we're in the forest and everything is kind of moist and wet. The rocks are real slippery, a lot of roots sticking up, and they're slippery and trip hazards. And occasionally you hit little mud patches. So, and it was kind of a race, because if we waited till late afternoon, there was a chance of rain. They always have chances of rain there in that jungle forest area. But as I hiked down, and as I came out of the forest into an open kind of area, there's a ranger station about 2 kilometers, mile and a quarter or so from the final end point, the Mueca gate. And so I took a little break there, and there were a couple of guys there that seemed like they were either injured or hurting or whatever. And then a few minutes later, a ranger Jeep pulls up, and they all load in there, them and their guides. And then my guide looks at me and he kind of points to the Jeep, and they still had an extra spot in the Jeep. And so I said, I'm not riding down. I'm fine. I'm gonna walk on down. And so he kind of claps me on the back and says, all right, good. And so we continued hiking on down, and Ranger Jeep took off. And so hiked on down. It took about another hour to get on down to the bottom. And when I got to the bottom, I was surprised. I thought she was going to be there at the luncheon, but my girlfriend was there greeting me at the bottom at the gate there, and the rest of the team was there. I think one other person came in right behind me. And so we all congratulated each other, and we got on a little bus, and there was a restaurant not too far away, rode over to a restaurant, had a big little celebration lunch where everybody was singing and, giving out the certificates for climbing the mountain. And we each person gave the tip. They were already split out for, your personal guides. Some people gave tips to the cooks, to the different porter and other staff. And so that was a real fun time for everybody during that time. And like I said, there was people singing and just a real jubilant time. And that's where we said goodbye to all of the support staff at that point. I ended up, the tourism business in Tanzania is the main source of income for a lot of the people there. It's like many African countries, very poor. I think they said it's like 60% unemployment. And so, they're appreciative of any little thing. I had an extra pair of sunglasses. I gave those to my personal guide. The next to the last day, I had already decided. My feet are two different sizes, and so my larger foot, I was having issues with my boot. It was too tight. I thought I'd actually bought an extra size larger for that foot, but it's still kind of tight. So the next to the last day, we were walking along hiking, and we took a little break. And I put my right foot out, and I said, "Put your foot beside my foot." And he did that, and I said, "Are they the same? Are they the same?" And he looks at him and goes, "Pretty close." And so I said, "I'm going to give you these boots after I finish the hike." And so he just kind of just smiled and patting me and hugging me. And so that, and then I also just gave him some extra cash tip, just separate from the tip that was going to be at the dinner itself. And so, yeah, they're any little bit that they receive is just, they're just so appreciative. It's amazing how much gratitude they have, and just a really good-hearted people there. Will do anything for you. So anyway, that's it. How much time we got? We got some time for some questions. I think we'll run a little bit late, but Julie, if you can open it up.
Yep.
All right, thanks. Again, say your name.
Janice?
Yeah, go ahead, Janice.
Well, we're sorry you didn't summit, but we're happier that you made it back safely. So that's a great story.
Thank you.
So after you got home from your excursion, had you lost weight, and how many pounds had you lost, and did you lose muscle mass, and what kind of condition were your feet and hands in?
Oh, I was waiting on somebody to ask that. So my feet and my knees were totally abused.
Wow.
My feet, my one foot is still pretty sore. But I mean, I don't have any open blisters or anything like that. Just from that boot. That, I mean, my feet would swell quite a bit, and I thought a full size was going to be enough, but it wasn't. But so I had issues with that one my left foot, my big foot, and hands. There were a few places where it was, both my feet and my hands get really cold, and so I was having to really, even though I had gloves on all the time and pretty good gloves, but still experienced some. I don't think I had frostbite, but it was fairly cold, and had to get those back. I just weighed myself today, and I'm about 10, 12 pounds lighter than I was when I started. But that doesn't make sense. That means I must have lost even more weight, because once I went on safari, I wasn't doing any exercise. I mean, we sat in a Jeep all the time and eating, 3 times a day, these great meals. So I know I had to put on a few pounds during the safari and also when I was in Zanzibar. So I probably lost 15 pounds hiking. Yeah. Okay.
This is Derek.
Yeah, go ahead, Derek.
Hello, Michael. Congratulations. That was a great adventure that you had. So, can I ask you, were you like one of the oldest in that group, or were they all the same age?
Yeah, I was the oldest. There was one other guy that was going to be older than me that had to drop out. So, yeah, I was the oldest person. There were a few other people in their 60s, and then I think one maybe in his 50s, but there was a fairly big group, about 5, 6, 8 people that were, upper 20s, early 30s. So that was pretty much the range of the group.
So you put up a pretty good showing then, if you were the oldest, to get up at least as far as the base camp. That must have been a feat in itself.
Yeah, I had a lot of support, a lot of help. But yeah, there were, like I said, there were several others that were also in their 60s. So, yeah.
All right.
This is Terry.
Yeah, Terry, go ahead.
I'm really intrigued by if you even know, or if they, whoever the they is, medical people, whatever, how is it that some people are more adversely affected by altitude sickness than others? What is there something that you can do to help that, or is it just if it's going to happen, it's going to happen, and if it doesn't, it does? Because I remember seeing the person who, after 2 days had to quit because she was really sick already. And is there a way to prevent anything like that, or?
Altitude sickness? I don't think so. I probably could adapt if I gradually lived at altitude, but other than that, yeah, it would just take me a long time to adapt, I think. But
so the people
I think it's just genetic, based on genetics from everything I've read.
So the people who made it all the way to the top, they don't necessarily live in altitudes that would help them to. Okay.
Yeah, there were a
So
number
it's
of people.
genetic.
Yeah, there were some people that had, some minor symptoms of altitude, but they adapted pretty quickly after that. There was one guy was, vomiting and had headaches, but after a few days that went away and he was fine. And he lives at pretty low altitude too. He's in Toronto area, so.
Hi, this is Bonnie. I have a question. What was how did you train for this?
Oh, okay. You probably weren't here at the very beginning. So I
missed it.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, then I can just listen to the recording.
Well, I'll just quickly. I stay in fairly good shape anyway. Just working out regularly. I don't do anything extravagant, but starting in June, I added on lots of climbing stairs. That was probably the main thing that helped me work climbing to where I could do 100 flights of stairs without any issues. Continued doing that up until the time to leave, and then on an incline treadmill, getting up to 4 hours at a time. Those were the main things, in addition just to regular working out at the gym. And
okay, well, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, congrats.
Thank you.
This is Dee.
Dee, go ahead.
Yes. Okay, Michael. I don't know what to say, man. This has just been so fascinating hearing your story. And as far as I'm concerned, you made it to the top. You were fantastic. And I mean, to keep climbing every day after you were already sick is just amazing that you didn't kill over on them. But going back down to the bottom of the mountain at that blind school, what did you say that they protected these albino children from what?
Well, these are just the stories I've heard that they are susceptible to, I don't know if you call them witch doctors or other spiritual kind of things, where they use body parts of albino kids during their ceremonies. So they will,
So they will kill those children and
they'll capture them,
take their body parts?
cut a hand off or leg off, or So they've, the school brings just, I don't know if it's all over the country or from where all they come from around Tanzania to the school till they get, get large, old enough to kind of protect themselves, help protect themselves.
Were you able to see what these albino Africans look like?
Well, I couldn't really see them. I mean, I have pictures that I could, but yeah.
Well,
I couldn't
I'm
really
asking because I've had a couple of albino friends, and they're very, very pale. But then I have run across, some albino black people here in the United States that are kind of orangey and their hair is kind of orange and that type of thing. So I didn't know if that was a trait of, the black albinos, because I guess that's what these people were over there. But yeah, I find that very fascinating.
Yeah, they were African kids. That was, no question about that. Just,
right.
I couldn't tell you hair color. Okay. Well, all of them were wearing these sun hats, they said, so couldn't really see couldn't really see their heads. And
right. Well, that is just, to me, way out in the strange that they're doing this with their body parts.
Yeah.
But thank you for telling your story today. It's been super fascinating. And
this is Ned.
Yeah, hang on, Ned. Let's see if anybody that hadn't had a chance to ask a question. Sharon, go ahead.
Intisar asked this, but I'm sorry I didn't hear the answer. Did you use a cane while you were doing this? And also, were they describing everything to you as you were walking up and walking down?
So I just use regular hiking poles, trekking poles. I don't use. For me, it's very impractical to use a white cane. So I don't even take it with me when I hike like this. Even going around the camp, I'll just use one of my hiking poles, just as my cane to get around. But
and were they describing it to you as you were going up and down, what you were passing, kind of thing?
Yeah, my best they could anyway. You're talking about like the scenery and everything? Yeah. My guide was not especially good at it, so I tried to stay with another person that I could hear their guide and talking and describing things.
Got it. Thank you. Amazing journey.
Thanks.
Valencia?
Yeah, Val, go ahead.
Okay. So many questions. It's hard to figure out what to ask. Were you able to collect some type of physical souvenir before leaving to bring back?
Stop.
I got, that's one thing I did. Well, this was after the safari, but that was last day of the safari was my birthday. And so the place we had our goodbye lunch for the safari people it was at a place that was near a organization that did employed people with disabilities, and so they made handcrafted items and made things out of recycled plastics and paper and things like that. And so I got to go in and meet a deaf weaver who showed me how to do weaving of blankets. And my girlfriend ended up buying me one of those blankets. And so she so happens to know sign language. And I guess even though it's different sign language that they use there versus American Sign Language, it was close enough that they could communicate. And so having her interpret, and then she would instruct me. And so I sat there for about 5 minutes doing some blanket weaving.
Cool.
But that was the only thing I got. Oh no, I got a T-shirt said I climbed Kilimanjaro.
So now your feet won't be cold. Yay.
So yeah.
Michael, it's the other Janice.
Janice, go ahead.
Well, as you were telling your story, I was just amazed each and every day that you went through. I can't even imagine what it must have been like. But my question to you is, do you ever think that you would tackle something like this again?
Right now, nothing to this extent. I mean, I'll still keep hiking, and I've already got a few things on the plans. There's nothing in concrete yet, but my main issue is finding sighted guides that can take off and go with me.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, but definitely, I'm not stopping. So
it's just amazing, absolutely amazing.
As long as I'm physically able to do it. Okay, any other questions?
This is Ned.
Okay, Heather and then Ned.
Okay,
Wait. Yeah,
first of all, I want to congratulate you on an attempt, a great effort, and a real bravery and a great adventure. Lovely. And the other thing I wanted to mention, there was a gentleman here in Canada who made a documentary about the albino people and this, what you were talking about. And he also raises money to help people as well in that part of the world. Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
And lastly, quickly, was there any different food, like food from the culture that you tried while you were over there?
Something that was different.
Like a food that they would eat that maybe we wouldn't eat, but was.
I mean, we had a lot of like rice, beans. There was probably some vegetables that I don't know what they were.
Okay.
I don't know if Tammy or David are on. Maybe they can remember too.
There wasn't anything really.
Well, congratulations.
Thanks. David, go ahead.
No, it was pretty much, a good variety of, chicken and rice and stuff like that, and different types of bananas. Of things that some were like more like plantains than sweet bananas and stuff. But the food was just basic, straightforward food. It was fine. A couple of other things to note. It really wasn't that cold at the top. In fact, the glacier was not on the path, even all the way up to the sign at the very peak.
Okay.
I got to feel the glacier like a meter or 3 or 4 feet off to the side of the path. But I guess it's global warming. But, we didn't have to walk on anything that felt like snow or ice, even right to the top. But, the glacier is there. Okay. So it was cold, but it was a sunny day, and we were working so hard hiking like 7 miles or something that day, from like all day, 12 hours plus kind of thing. it really didn't feel that cold because you were just working so hard climbing.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, and the other thing, you covered everything really, really well, Michael, and it was a real pleasure getting to meet you in person. The one thing that I will add is for the school, we actually had to get a special permit to go to the school because it's a gated community. They are that protected, so we had to get a lot of special permissions for us to go in. But it was so rewarding to go in and help the kids and see the kids, and that was definitely a highlight of my trip too. And like you said, getting to the top, we were so tired and exhausted that we weren't in any mood to celebrate.
Yeah. No, you guys did great. Congrats, David. Yeah. I forgot about that. Yeah, going to the school. Yeah, we did have to do all kinds of special permissions to get in there. Okay,
Michael?
Ned, go ahead.
Yes, quick question. What was the purpose of hiking above your camp and then coming back down? You did that many times. It seems like in your description, you'd hike up and then come back down.
Yeah, it's just part of the acclimation process. You go up, your body will kind of start adjusting to that higher altitude temporarily, and then you go back down to sleep. And that's just part of the acclimation process. It allows you, theoretically, a person that can acclimate that will help them acclimate quicker doing that. For me, it was no help. Yeah.
Michael, this is Cindy.
Go ahead, Cindy.
When I sensed your disappointment, which I'm dealing with currently as well with different challenges, but when you were packing your backpack to go back down, the disappointment must have been horrendous. And I think about people that are seasick, people that are airsick. It's just a genetic thing. And, 12 hours short of the summit, or the trip. Unbelievable. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, I'm starting to let it go now. For a while, it was really bugging me that, I was so close and didn't get to go. But it was all for the best for everybody. Any more questions? We still.
Yeah, Jody.
Hi. No.
Hang on, Jody. Is that somebody that hadn't had a chance yet?
Okay.
It's Chris.
Chris,
Yes.
how are you doing?
Voiceover on Zoom. Doing good. So you said your girlfriend was waiting for you at the bottom.
Yeah.
You said your girlfriend was waiting for you at the bottom by the gate. So how did Rachel beat you down there?
Oh, yeah. Even Rachel was there waiting for me.
Okay.
Somebody carried Rachel down for me. I didn't get to see it.
Arlene?
Hal and then Arlene.
Yeah, excellent presentation, Mike. You set a great example, and so it's very awesome. And my only comment, not a question, but it's a comment. I guess when you went to Africa, I guess it was just the adrenaline, and then so when you went home, it was like that you did your task, you did your thing, and I guess it must have been like you were spent. But I can imagine when you're on your way up there, the adrenaline was high.
Yeah, definitely. It kind of charges you up, and so you're able to even that probably accounted for some of the not having any issues with the jet lag. Okay. Was it Arlene?
Arlene. Oh, yeah. Michael, this was great. You did a fantastic job, and congratulations. And this really made me want to pack my bags and head to Tanzania. But you gave all the details and everything. But one thing you didn't mention, hygiene. I didn't hear anything about showers.
Very good question. No, I didn't. I totally glossed over that, didn't I? there are no showers. So, got adult baby wipes.
Oh.
Those are probably the best thing you can have. So
you had to pack those and take them with you?
So yeah, I had a pack of those, and
oh wow!
Because it was so cold. I mean, they gave us a pan of hot water every day, but I never. Well, I think I used it once to help brush my teeth, but no, I didn't use it because that was drinkable water. I can't think. I can't remember. Yeah, it was drinkable, but no, it was so cold that you couldn't dry. I mean, if I used I had some little towels, but if I got them wet, drying off, they would stay wet the rest of the time. So I'd be carrying around some wet things. In fact, that was funny. There was our documentarian Crocky said he saw some girls at another group that had either sweated or something, and so they left their clothes out one night on some bushes to dry. And when they came to pick them up, they were just like frozen. They're not going to dry. Yeah, once something gets wet, it stays wet the whole time you're there. So that you got to be careful of. Otherwise, you're going to be carrying around wet stuff all around with you. So yeah, just using wet wipes, cleaning off with that. I didn't shave at all. Some guys shaved. I don't know about women, but
okay. Well, maybe
this is Vincent.
Louise.
Okay, Vincent and Louise.
My question concerns sleeping. Did anybody else have sleeping issues? And what do you attribute your not being able to sleep more than 2 hours at a time?
Well, I mean that first night with the snorer, I think there were several people that had issues sleeping that first night, but after that, I think everybody else was okay. Some people only slept, maybe 4 hours to 6 hours max. I mean, from just talking to people, as far as I know, I mean, I was the only one that just consistently, barely got 2, maybe 3 hours sometimes. But yeah, it's hard to function and be able to hike those mountains on 2 hours of sleep a day. But yeah, it's just one of the symptoms of altitude for some people. Let's see, Louise.
Yes. So, I mean, just an awesome story. I'm somewhat, I mean, I used to be somewhat of a hiker. I've done the Grand Canyon thing, most of it, and Diamond Head and some other places up in the Yukon, even Camelback Mountain in Phoenix, Arizona. But when you were left behind, were you there alone, and were you afraid there were no wild animals up roaming the mountain?
No, I mean, there's up on the mountain, none of the wild animals are up there. I mean, a few
Other than those little
little mice.
monkeys.
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 The monkeys that were up the trees. But other than that, we didn't see hardly any animals. A few birds here and there. But no, the support staff was all still there. All the porters, the cooks, my personal guides stayed behind since he was assigned to be with me the whole time. So he would come check on me, whenever I was napping or if I needed something. He was the one that brought me lunch to the tent. So I had no issues being by myself. There was plenty of people around.
Very good.
Yeah. I mean, when I went out after lunch, I went out and just kind of set up in the mess tent. That was just kind of a place to gather and people socialize and things. So a few of the support staff would come in. I'd have some tea there, talk to them.
Very good. And I'm waiting for the safari story.
Okay, we'll have to reschedule that one. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing.
All right, Louise. Thank you for being here. Anybody else? Okay. In that case, thanks everybody. Like I said, Asante Sana. Thank you very much for joining us for this program. It's fun sharing my story here with you, and hopefully, as I said before, I don't like to inspire people. I'd rather use the word empower. And so, if anything I've done will get you to go out and try something new, or just to, get out and do something physical. I mean, if you haven't done anything physical in a while, I mean, even just go out, walk down to the mailbox or walk around the block or wherever you may be. I mean, start out easy, slow. Everybody has some little mountain to climb. So, what is your mountain? You can do it.
Pat, thank you, Michael,
you're welcome,
for
Pat.
sharing your story. I couldn't unmute, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I finally got unmuted. I'm so sorry you didn't make it. You were so close, but thanks for sharing your amazing travels with us once again.
Yeah, thank you.
Very welcome.
John, thank you, Michael. It's
Hey,
wonderful.
Michael,
Yeah.
this is Lois from Fort Washington. I finally got unmuted. Thank you. It was beautiful. I'm from Detroit, Missouri.
All right. Thanks, Lois, for being here.
It was awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. And I think it's a remarkable accomplishment.
That's wonderful.
Thank
Congratulations.
Thank you, Michael.
Congratulations, Michael.
Thanks,
Thanks, Michael. I thoroughly
Michael.
enjoyed hearing about it.
Safari stories
long.
next.
Congratulations, Michael.
All right,
Thank you,
everybody.
Michael.
Thank you, Michael. Congratulations.
Thank you, Michael. Congratulations.
Well
Thank
done
you.
there, Michael. Yeah.